Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am Priyanka Sarode, and on behalf of the Conflux Revista, I welcome you all to an exclusive conversation with Jay Andurti on the theme Art and Style, the Key Elements of Graphic Novels. The Conflux Revista is a youth led team aiming to explore opinions of the youth through stories, music, webinars, and other forms of art. Keeping in light the same, we have previously organized numerous panel discussions, workshops, and open mic sessions and other events on our platform. Speaking about the TCR Youth Fest 2021, we have an open mic session and about 15 panels which will witness speakers from all walks of life. It's indeed a pleasure to have you, Mr. Andurti, in our midst today. Joy Andurti has a background in journalism and writes for leading publications including The Indian Express, Man's World, Mint, The Hindu, and The Economic Times on travel and popular culture. He started Every City is a Story, a unique city-centric graphic storytelling initiative. He's the creator of Hyderabad, a graphic novel, which is a unique city-centric approach to graphic storytelling. He's currently the creative director at Sainakari, an animation and graphic novel production house. His other interests include chess and science fiction. He's received a development grant from CNAP Paris to write a film with renowned director Amit Datta. His latest graphic novel, The Cities Beneath, with artist Fabian Stolz, was published in 2019 with Zweig Verlag in Germany and by Sainagari in India. His next projects include The Game with artist Kishore Mohan and Lovecraft in India with Harsho Mohan Chaturaj. Thank you for joining us today, Jay. We look forward to unveiling this world of graphics with you. So, to begin with, could you tell us about your journey and what inspired you to get into writing for graphic novels?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on board. I hope everybody can hear me. Um,
Yes.
yeah. So, well, as you know, I'm a journalist. I started off as a journalist working for various publications. Then I became a freelancer. So I was always a fan of comics. I never thought that I could actually write them or I could work with artists to create them. And it was only through a sort of a fortunate, circumstances that I was able to contact or get in touch with Harsho Mohan Chaturaj, with whom I've been working for almost a decade now, 8 years, I guess. And it so happened that at that point, we were thinking of making a documentary on Hyderabad. But the problem was a lot of the heritage structures and buildings in Hyderabad were either demolished or they were in a bad shape. So visually, like we were trying to figure out how do we show Hyderabad as it was 70 years ago, 80 years ago, 100 years ago. And that's when I kind of realized that, through the medium of comics, you can actually, it's actually a very powerful medium, how powerful it is. And you can actually, bring to life this past. And that's how I think I began getting more and more interested into comics and started thinking about working in that in that medium.
Okay. For most of us, actually, the world of comics started with Amar Chitrakatha or the Archie's comic that we grew up on. From there to the advent of graphic novels, how do you view this evolution in the Indian context?
Well, I mean, I haven't studied this academically, or so it's just purely my impressions as a fan. So when we were growing up, yes, there was Amachitra which was the staple. There was also like on railway journeys, you had Raj comics and so on. I remember people reading them on the train. Then you had Archies. Of course, Archies were very expensive and difficult to get in those days. For me, however, the biggest influence was Tintin in terms of comics in general. So Tintin was sort of the gold standard by which you kind of measured comics by. And for Indian comics, of course, there was also Chacha Chaudhary and so on. So there was Amar Chitrikada, there was Chacha Chaudhary, and I think, as I said, there was Raj Comics. I guess right now, if you compare, what has happened, as the comic reading public has basically shrunk, which is unfortunate, but that's true. And this pandemic hasn't helped things in any way. So what has happened is that this is actually interesting. This is also true in the US. For example, you have all these Marvel movies and DC movies, but actually comics aren't doing or weren't doing that well in terms of the traditional comics, like even DC and Marvel. People watch the movies, sure, but that doesn't translate into them going, buying and being part of the community and so on. So that has definitely changed, and in India as well, at least what has happened is sort of the field is sort of fragmented or splintered. However, the quality of the art and the variety of the themes that are being tackled today are extremely diverse. So you could say that yes, that has been one of the positives in the last maybe 7 8 years. So I've been in the field for about 7 8 years, and I distinctly remember that when we were starting off, there weren't that many Indian comics, like at least in English, in Indian graphic novels. Like you would go to one of the big chain bookstores, Odyssey or Landmark, and you could pretty much buy all the Indian comics on Indian graphic novels in English on in one go. But now I think the field has really exploded. Also, a lot of people have taken to web comics, to different mediums in that sense, putting a lot of stuff on Instagram, putting a lot of stuff online. So that way, the field has really expanded in terms of sales and in terms of a sort of industry. I wouldn't say it has. That's still a work in progress.
Right, right. So like you said that a Tintin or Archie is
Mm,
were children's favorite, and for a long time, graphic novels or comics have been thought to be sure entertainment only for the kids, and they've been
mm.
underrated. But now with Marvel Comics and comics getting the digital platform, do you think that it is set to become a popular form of literature to reach the audience, or it is still a faraway destination? And if we want to reach that, what is the responsibility with the writers or the illustrators?
Well, I mean, comics is a medium, so you could it's like film, right? You could have children's movies, you could have movies for adults, and so on. So it's an ocean there. But in terms of the what you call the sort of the way the comics or graphic novels or chitrakada, I prefer to use the term chitrakada, is is it high culture? Is it low culture? What kind of what is the attitude from critics and from the the gatekeepers of the cultural industry? If you look at a country like France, their comics or BD as they call them, Bande Dessinée, they have a very high status. So people who create comics, they're treated like authors or filmmakers and so on. And in fact, sometimes comics win the best book of that year. It's not like best comic of the year, but the best book of the year. So they don't particularly distinguish. However, if you go to America and so on, definitely comics don't have a very high, they are not seen as high culture. They're seen as mass consumption, mass products, basically. So in India, for some reason, we have sort of taken after the American example. Though India has an enormous tradition of storytelling through pictures and narration. Basically, in every part of India, you have a tradition where mythological stories are shown in there's some art in some form, and then the storyteller narrates it, and he uses the art to as a cue to move the story forward. So it has very high culture because mythological and stories from scriptures have in all cultures have a very elevated status. So it's not clear why that was abandoned, and we kind of went after this, at least in the English medium, in the press and so on. We went after the American model, where comics were sort of a low culture, a middle bro culture. So I hope that changes. Definitely, a lot in the sense that a lot of the comic creators in India, they were very much influenced by the French movements, by the 80s movements in America as well. So they certainly are aspiring for high culture. So in that sense, will the critics or will the rest of the gatekeepers, will they sort of also reciprocate is the point. If that happens, yes. So I think then you can have a very interesting cycle where you have very interesting books and comics being created, and you also have very high informed criticism, and and that way the cycle starts. And that's how in any sort of a field that's very necessary.
True, true, true. Okay, thank you for that. Could you please elaborate on the different formats of comics? Because comics, they come in numerous formats. Of course, there are a lot of different mediums also. So, what are the different formats and what are the challenges? How are they different from each other?
Well, I mean, you have basically in formats is usually the size and that's usually the one of the main considerations. So you have this album, the French album, and then you have the American letter size or whatever. What they're called floppies. So they're like I think 24 pages. Then you bind all of them together, and they become a TPB, a trade paperback, and that becomes like one story. In India, we don't have that sort of a thing. Like for example, I don't know what the exact structure Raj Comics has, but as far as I know, there is no policy where when one story is completed, they bind all of them together and resell that or repackage that. So all that is not yet present, or if it is, it's not very influential. So so basically, in India, it's pretty much it's like a wild field. You kind of do what you want. We're still in that stage. For us, if you look at the format of the graphic novels we've brought up, so I work with Sainagiri, is we always wanted this large album format. So we have because so it looks basically the size is something like Tintin. It's a large size. We have few panels per page, so it's a very large, very vibrant looking. So you have the art really comes out. In general, the size is the main consideration. Of course, you could call them graphic novels, standalones, whatever. There's certain other internal technical terms, but yeah, I would say the size is the most important thing. And of course, you also know this sort of the digest size, where it's very small, and that's like another very common format. But then what happens is extremely cramped. The panels are very jammed together and so on. So yeah, so that's basically
Right. Also, I think that is very handy, and that is why it's popular because you can just carry it
yes.
anywhere, and especially with
Yes,
children.
they were sold in railway,
Yeah, right.
bookstores and so on. Yeah,
Right,
because of that.
right. It's easy, the common size.
Yeah.
Okay, so coming back to your profession and from where you started, you've been a travel journalist and you've written extensively on travel and popular culture. So when you turned into a novelist, how do you think this has kind of influenced your profession and vice versa? So did it help you somewhere in your profession or
Yes,
has
of
it
course.
influenced you?
Yeah, so of course, because that's actually the only formal training I have in terms of writing. Because I did journalism, I did
Journalist.
my undergraduation, postgraduate diploma in India, and then a post graduation abroad. So that is the only formal training as a writer. The other thing is, as a journalist, in general, when you're sort of I was doing travel, I was doing cultural trends and so on. You have to take a subject with which you're not very familiar, and then you have to very quickly familiarize with that, then perhaps meet somebody or interview somebody, and then convey that in a very simple, easy to understand way to the reader, at the same time not lose the complexity. You can't dumb it down, right? The internal complexity of has to come out. So that is very good training in terms of writing comics, because in comics basically every page is broken up into panels. So you have 3 4 panels or 5 panels in a page, and then series of these pages put together come make something. So you have to sort of figure out what is the most important thing, what am I trying to say here, and then talk to the artist and figure out what is the visual representation of that. So that really helps in the sense of breaking things down, trying to figure out what's the most important part of the story. How do you tell it? Like in the journalism, the most important thing is the lead, the first paragraph. So you have to get the reader in, draw the reader in, and so on. So what is the most important thing that you're going to put forward? So these,
Right.
in terms of the larger technical aspects, yes, they definitely inform your writing comics, because they emphasize clarity, they emphasize the key stories coming, the key point of the story being pushed forward. They also emphasize the order, like which is the way you're going to structure the argument. So all of these things definitely help in comics.
Right. Especially reporting teaches you one thing is to be crisp and cut on the
Mm,
needless stuff, and that's
mm,
something very important in
mm.
comics because you have limited space.
Yeah.
And right. So now, actually, I believe writing for comics is not as easy as it looks to the reader. Just like the thought balloons and etc. It is very easy for the reader, but it takes a lot of efforts and it takes a lot of skill to get that done. So working for print, you have also designed single page comics wherein 4 5 panels had to be fit in one page, which is quite a challenge. So how difficult is it to get the graphics and the text on that one page or the 4 5 panels and still not compromise on the reader appeal?
Well, I mean, if it's possible, I could just share. I could show you one of
Right.
the. One
Yes.
sec. Let me just see how I do this. So yeah. So just to answer your question, you're saying how do you do this in one page? So I thought I'll just show you an example. So this is something we did for the Mint newspaper back in the day with artist Bibhuswan Bose. So I mean, I don't think you can read the captions, but basically you get the point. So we had like 6 panels, and you have to tell a story. So I kind of picked the story where basically you just show the headshot of a person, or whatever it is, and I was able to squeeze the captions in. So because there's not a lot of room for action here, like I can't show long sequences and so on. So I had to create this way in which, as if people are talking from different periods in time, they're talking directly into the camera, so to speak. So, and that is what the format we went for. So this is the one way. Obviously, in a full-length comic, this is a very strange way of doing it because, why would you have so many characters in one page just talking into it? But for a one-pager, it worked quite well. People liked it, and the art, of course, is fantastic. So we were able to create this very, uncanny vibe. Basically, these are all people who were executed or who lost their heads, whose heads were chopped off for some reason. So that is why we went for this, basically. So yeah.
Jay, we couldn't see the. I mean, I'm still able to just see the first slide and not the exact panel that you are referring to.
Oh, okay. Sorry. 1 second.
Yeah, we were not able to see that slide.
So do you see the PPT right now? No.
I can just see the first slide which says Art and Style Graphic Novels Jay Undurti.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I can see you scrolling through the slides, so maybe you can just choose the slide and have full
Slide
screen
in,
and we'll be
okay.
able to view it.
I'm trying to do that. Okay, wait. Okay, each time I click on it, 1 second, it jumps.
Yeah. Yes, now we can, yeah.
Now?
Yeah, can you make it a full screen so that everyone can see? Of course, we cannot read it, but we can just see the tiles. Yeah.
Now?
We could get the essence of it because it fits in one page.
Yeah, in one page.
Right. Okay. So as we rightly mentioned, that art and style are the key elements of a graphic novel. So how do you manage to get ingenuity in your work every time, like thinking of a new idea, thinking of a new character, or kind of merging different elements like history and fiction? How do you manage to get this art and style correct?
So I mean, the first thing, and this is like advice which was given to me and which I would give to anybody who's in this field, is that you have to have a way in which you store all your ideas, like a notebook or maybe online, whatever, it doesn't matter. You have to constantly write down your ideas. They can just be one line or one paragraph, doesn't matter, and they may not have any context, so you just write them down.
Okay.
And what happens is suddenly you may get a call to do a project. So I'll give you an example. So we did something called the Cities Beneath. So I was tasked by the Goethe Centrum, the German center here in Hyderabad. So I had worked with them earlier. So they said, look, there's a project happening with Hamburg in Germany. So basically you need to do something which has some Hyderabad in it and which has some German elements in it. And you have to write the outline of the script like in a couple of months for the entire project, which would actually take 2 years. So obviously, if you have never written anything down, it may be very difficult because, where do you start? It's a very specific kind of a thing. But I knew that I had created certain ideas earlier, which was something set around World War I. And I knew that Indian soldiers or soldiers from Hyderabad had fought in that conflict in France. So I knew that there was a way in which a German character and an Indian character or a character from Hyderabad could meet. So the moment,
Right.
because I already knew this, I was able to immediately start working. So it's very, very important that you, even so that original idea had nothing to do with this. It just had something World War One, it was very different. But
Right.
because I knew that, I was able to make this connection. So you have to constantly, you have to have a bank or a cloud or whatever you call it, or like a bank of ideas which you can use at any time. So this takes a while. So you have to constantly keep working on it. The other thing is, in general, you have to be reasonably well read. And well
Oh,
read, I mean, not in that particular field, but in general, because you never know what might be useful and what might, suddenly work. So in creative fields, generally what happens is people take two ideas which are not directly connected, but then they find some way in which they creatively put together. It's the same with characters. When you create characters as well, you can take some character traits from something and you put these character traits in one person and you get an interesting character. So it's very important that you constantly read, that you constantly read, as in not read online, or I mean in the sense that you just read scrolling through Instagram posts or something, but I mean by actually genuinely reading,
reading one.
looking up books, fiction, non-fiction, doesn't matter. And if you find, like for example, you could be reading a fiction, a novel, historical novel. I myself am interested in combinations of history and fiction and so on. So I like doing that, using historical research as a basis. So if you find something, you kind of make a note of that, and you look it up. So there could be some brief description somewhere in a book you're reading, which that author is not interested in, but he just mentions it, he or she mentions it, and you may find something worth exploring. So you immediately make a note of that. You also keep, like for example, for Hyderabad, I was very interested in all these legends, urban legends, stories people tell. So this is something which, like, say you take an auto drive, and the auto wala is telling you some stories. So you won't find this on Wikipedia, you won't find it on Google or something. It's just something which people know and people just share. So you have to immediately be alert to that, and you write it down. So that, those kind of things. So you have to be like super. You have to absorb a lot of things, and you have to have a system where you can store them and you can access them if you want to, like years from now. So if you do that,
Right.
then you automatically have a system. So what happens is, usually someone calls you or someone tells you, we have a project, we have something, would you be interested in working in? And it's very important that you say, kind of, you're able to say yes, and you say yes, I have something. And then they'll be okay, they'll also say, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about, so they'll be inclined to give you the project. So you have to be very sharp that way.
Right, right.
Mm.
You never know, like whatever you learn
Yeah,
or you read today can be of
yeah,
use after
years from
maybe
now.
after years, yeah, like
Yeah.
years from now, and you really don't know, like as you said, from World War One, because
Mm.
when I was reading through the,
Mm.
I mean, of course, not the actual book, but I read through
Mm.
what was there in Hyderabad. So there you have actually used the Egyptian catacombs and even freedom fighter like Bal Gangadhar Tilak and the Stonehenge.
Yeah, that was
I
actually
get
an
it from here,
inspiration.
like how you kind of intersected
Yeah,
because of your interest in history and fiction, and
yeah.
then a kind of putting it, like connecting it with Hyderabad.
Yes. So that's actually from Hyderabad. One second, can you just, is it visible?
Yes, it is. Of course, we cannot read the text, but
One second. Now, I don't know why it goes into this. Any better? No.
full screen.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm actually,
You can zoom it from below. You can zoom it. I
no,
think
I actually have it on full screen, the slideshow view actually, but
oh,
it's not, I think this Google, it doesn't take it, it just shows the screen. It doesn't read this, I don't know why. Uh, Now? No, right?
no.
no, no, no. It's
Okay, it's
we
still
can,
in that side. Yeah.
yeah, in
Okay,
in the
yeah.
slide view.
Yeah, so there, I mean, okay, Hyderabad, that was different because that section of the book was like every page had to have a fresh idea. So it was like
Okay.
this character or narrator who has all these fantastic ideas about cities and how cities are created. So for that, every page had to have a very dense, like the number of ideas crammed in were enormous. There was no narration as such, as in there was no story in that part. It's just the writer sort of having this sort of a narrator having this sort of free association of thoughts. So that was very important. So I had to have a huge bank for me to even start that, because otherwise, if you run out of ideas halfway through, it's
Ideas.
very, yeah. So that was a
Yeah.
pure idea, like an idea driven kind of a section.
Right, right. So one another perspective which is very interesting in your work is the way you perceive cities. Your novel, The Cities Beneath, which was, or rather, I believe in one of your talks you said that when you travel from Hyderabad to Cyberabad, you're actually traveling through history. So you view cities as not brick and mortar, but like testimonies of history. So how did you develop this perception? And I think it's very interesting and unique to really perceive cities in that way, which a normal human being, or normally we do not do that. So how did this perception come to you?
Yeah, so that's not Cities Beneath. That's Hyderabad, the Hyderabad, the graphic novel. So for there, what happened was that, like, back, I mean, in those days, well, now I guess also, you could take an auto from the old city and then go to, the Cyberabad, where basically you have the backend for Google, the backend for Facebook, and so on. So the entire backend for the Facebook ads and all that was being run from is being run from here. So it's so this is like what, 2010 maybe. So it was very interesting that within maybe half an hour or 25 minutes, you could take an auto from the old city, which is about 400 years old, 400 plus years old, and it looks like that. Some parts really look like, very ancient. And in 20 minutes, come to something like the Facebook,
Very modern.
data center, which at that time was very cutting edge and was a very, big thing. Because everybody's talking about Facebook then. So I thought it's incredible, like in a city you can do this. And it's not like in Europe, where the old cities in Europe are preserved. They're very well, much better preserved. But the people who live there are not. They live like they're contemporary people. While in the old city, there's a very different mental attitude. If you go to the new city, there's a very different mental attitude. So the people themselves are live in that time. So it's not just the relics, but the time itself is very heavy there. So the time changes. So I thought, okay, it's actually like time travel, but in one spatial plane. So that was why I had this idea that through panels you can link them. Like in a comic book page, you can have several panels and sort of link them all together, and you're able to do this sort of a time travel over the page to just replicate the experience of taking an auto from one part of the city to the other.
True, true. That's really amazing to note, and it's a lovely idea to kind of intersect these elements and put it on the panel, put it as a graphic. So could you still elaborate, like when you talk about European cities being preserved, and of course there are a lot of differences between the Eastern and the Western culture, and you got to experience this firsthand in your 040 project, which was a link between the Hamburg Ministry of Culture and the Goethe Zentrum Hyderabad Center, which it was a cultural exchange program. So when you went from here, you went to Hamburg to study this, and then the graphic novel. So what was your learning? And we would like to hear the experience from you, since you experienced it firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, so I had never been to Hamburg at that point. So they said that, okay, you can, we will take you to Hamburg, and you'll spend maybe a month or 2 months there over, actually 2 months, more than 2 months, over 2 years. And you work with an artist in Hamburg, Fabian, whom I had not met at that point, and you
Okay.
create something together. So the problem there was I actually didn't have that much time in Hamburg. So even before I went there, I had to have some idea of how what I was going to do. If I just go there and then have less than a month to work on it, it would be the pressure would be enormous. So the thing was that luckily I was very interested in science fiction. So I had one of my favorite books as a child, as a growing up, was Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. So there, Verne actually has his heroes who eventually travel to the Earth, inside the Earth. They are from Hamburg. So I knew this. So I was able to kind of come up with some story where the Verne's daughter or granddaughter or whatever, some descendant of his, uh, and they sort of meet with the characters in that book, and they interact with characters from now. So because of this because I already knew this, I was able to do some preliminary research. So by the time I got to Hamburg, I had already done some work. So I knew I was able to create an interesting element where you had 19th century science fiction, which was very influential at that time. And you also had this character from India, from Hyderabad, and they would all meet in this underworld, which was basically the cities beneath. So so I was able to, again, as I said, bring together all these different elements, because the point is that I am not from Hamburg, or I've not lived there for very long, so I cannot talk about being from Hamburg because I don't have that experience. Of course, I could talk about like a tourist, right?
Right.
Someone who, but then you kind of lose some of the
Crucial threads.
yeah. So I thought the best way is to do it through like a fictional character, because that way, if even if you're surprised by Hamburg or you're surprised by whatever it is, you can say, okay, that's because this character has no experience of that. It's coming from a fictional background, so it makes sense within that story, the logic of the story,
Right.
that this person should be
Right.
surprised. So that way, I was able to get around the problem that I'm actually not from Hamburg. I don't have experience. Well, the artist is from Hamburg, so visually he can do, he can, because he was, he grew up in Hamburg, or he spent a lot of his time in Hamburg. He can easily represent Hamburg. But I, as a narrator, cannot, because I can't talk about my childhood in Hamburg or something. So I had to. So that way, I was able to get around this issue. So that was how I kind of presented the project. So they liked it because it had not been done before, this sort of an approach. So we were able to come up with the two characters, the character from India, the character from Hyderabad, the character from Germany, and then put this in the science fictional Jules Verne kind of a context where you were able to bring all the elements together.
That's interesting to know how the story actually unfolds and the process of actually getting the story out with you, and a complete forum that you had little experience, a little interaction with. So it's really interesting to know. Now coming, like as you said, you didn't have the experience. So as a script writer, how important it is for you and the illustrator to be on the same page? And have you ever faced any conflicts with your illustrator, or you had difference of opinions while working?
Well, I mean, I've been very fortunate, touch wood, that I've been working for, as I said, 7, 8 years now, and I've never had any issues with artists. I've worked with a very wide range of artists. I worked with Fabian. I worked with Horsho. I'm working with Kishore Mohan on a forthcoming project. So a lot of artists actually, and of course the one pages I worked with more than a dozen artists, and I'm very fortunate that at least there haven't been any issues. For me, it's very clear that in a comic, the artist is a star, because the art is what. When you want to pick up a comic, you look at the art first. If you like the art, only then you'll pick up the comic. If the comic stays with you, it's because the writing. The writing is good, then you remember the comic, or you kind of like it. But the initial sort of a phase when you go and you look at a comic and you decide whether should I buy it or not, or should I pick it up or not, does it look interesting, is purely the art. Nobody's going to read the comic. They're going to look at the.
Awesome.
So in that sense, the art is definitely driving the story.
Okay.
In general. So it's very important that you kind of work with the artist's strengths. You don't try to impose your own. Obviously, you have your own ideas and all that. But then when the artist executes, you may not like it. But the point here is that you should be prepared that it's the artist's strengths which are going to drive the project forward. So you have to try to write. It's like in a film, you're a director and you're working with an actor, and the actor has some strengths like dramatic scenes or whatever it is. So you try to work to the actor's strengths. You don't impose some strange
Right.
your own vision where the actor is not very comfortable or not interested in doing that. So you have to work with that. Once you do that, I think it's quite simple. The other point is that you basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a synergy where the output of both of you is greater than you individually, right? What you put together
Right.
is
Right.
the sum of the parts is greater. So you have to be prepared for that. You have to let the artist kind of do his or her thing, give them full freedom. Don't try to constantly micromanage, say do this, do that. At the same time, you must have a very clear vision which you explain, or you very clearly in the beginning of the project you're able to convey to the artist. This is what basically you want, the goal. How you reach the goal, there may be some changes. You may have a road, the artist may have a road, whatever. But in terms of the goal of what you're trying to achieve, that has to be very clearly communicated to the artist. So the artist knows that, okay, that's what we're trying to aim for. So then I think it becomes easy that way once you do that.
Right, right. I think it's right, especially, I mean, that is the key difference between a graphic novel and a rather fiction story, because it's the art which is actually making the difference between any other novel and a graphic novel. So, and because it's visuals, of course, that is something which is going to have the first attention of the reader. So yes, we get the point here. And so like it is a trend, or it is seen that normally classics or fantasies or thrillers, they are the popular genres when it comes to comics. But you kind of you have explored a lot, and your work is quite different from the contemporaries. So why did you think about these complex genres where you're actually overlapping history and fiction, and it's a completely different story? So you didn't think of fantasies or superheroes, or what was your, I mean, how did you come to this choice that I want to make work on this?
No, I mean, I have no issues with superheroes. I would, love to do something in the superhero genre as well. But for me, as I said, because of my interest in history, architecture, photography, and so on, this is a natural fit. I mean, which other medium would you be able to do all of these things? Let's say I was trying to make a movie, and then I suddenly say that let's have a, 18th century castle or something. Yeah, how do you shoot that? How do you stage that? You'd have to go to Rajasthan or something. While in for comics, all I have to do is look at archival paintings or photographs, share them with the artist, and they'll do the hard work. So in that sense, it gives you, or let's say I want to set something 100 years in the future or something. Again, in any other medium, it's very tricky. Even if you're writing, obviously you can describe, but as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So this medium gives you an enormous freedom and flexibility, and it has a lot of strengths. So, and someone like me who has interest in many things, uh, for me to do, in a way, my interest in archives and research, in photography, in historical photography, all of these things, they all of them come together in comics. So for me personally, this is like one of the ideal fields. And in comics, this sort of these genres where you combine history, fact, and fiction, again, plays to my strengths. So I thought, okay, this is what I'm okay. I'm interested in, and I think I'm halfway, decent at it. Let's just keep doing this. But of course, I'm open to other genres as well. But yes, but this is what has been working. I've also done science fiction as well, so that has been also very interesting. So yeah.
Right, right. Indeed, it is a medium that gives you the freedom to explore, and we are happy that such kinds of works are coming out from the Indian artists, the Indian writers. Talking about your future projects, what is on your mind right now? What are you looking at?
So yeah, so I have. Can you see this? I don't know if it's visible.
Same. Yes, we can
Yeah,
see
so
the
this is
picture.
an artist Kishore Mohan. It's actually a completely silent comic. There's no text at all. So it's quite an interesting thing. So you may say, what's my job? But actually, I also very involved in the arrangement of the panels, the story, and so on, the narration. So it's very complicated. It's a project which I've been working on with Kishore for many years now, and it's hopefully will be completed at the end of this year. It's very, very complex, very interesting, because how do you tell a story without words? uh,
Exactly.
so it's all about, and very different art styles. So Kishore is experimenting very watercolor, very very non comic book art, basically very non traditional art. It looks fantastic. People have been praising the art. We've shared some of the art. People have been really looking forward to this. So I hope this is like one of those very big defining comics, at least from India. We haven't had too many such experimental or art house sort of comics, without words, just purely visuals. At the same time, not in the comic book framework. So not just using art pieces
Okay.
for illustration, but actually having a sequential narration. So I think that's something very different. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Indeed.
Then I'm also doing something called Lovecraft in India with, again, Horshow. So actually I'm again working with Horshow after, on a full length project after almost 7 years. So which has been very long. So we were both wanted to work together. We somehow it didn't work. We did some stuff, but somehow we didn't. It just didn't work that we couldn't do a full length one together. But now I think we are, and it's very interesting. It's about this American author called known as H.P. Lovecraft, a real person. So he was very influential, very charismatic, if you like it, in that field, in the field of horror
Mhm.
and cosmic horror. So he is very very influential even today. So though he lived in the 1920s, 40s, and so on, and we kind of imagine what happens if he had come to India. There is no evidence as such that he ever came to India, but we just imagine that he had come to Calcutta in the 1930s, and the kind of adventures that sort of he goes through, but which also reflect his own stories. So it's like he becomes
Okay.
a character in his own myths that he creates. So that's something which we're very interested in. So we're going to bring in 1930s Calcutta history, Lovecraft himself, the fiction, the actual his actual stories, which we're going to adapt and set them in India. So all of these are very they need a lot of research. So it took me about almost 4 or 5 years. I've been working on it on and off. So finally, I think we have something. The script is not yet fully finalized, so it's still a while off. I'm hoping next year is when it'll be out. So yeah.
And that's interesting to know, especially the first project that you mentioned, the game.
Hmm.
You said that it doesn't involve any text. So, and you have also said that this is like
Hmm.
very rare to find a comic of
Hmm.
that style. Personally, for me, it was something completely new because I haven't come across something or
Hmm.
even read it anywhere.
Hmm.
So, how did you? I mean, of course, it's very difficult, as you said, and it's just a
Hmm.
sequential narrative.
Hmm.
So here, you tell the story. How do you work? You tell the story to the artist, and the artist will just like our old stories or like how animation started, just flipping the cover and the story moves further. So is it something like a silent movie, like
Yeah, but
just
I mean,
talking through the visuals?
obviously, in a comic, you have some problems there. For example, mm, let's say if you want to show that time has elapsed, or if you want to say that something is taking place in some other part of the city, for example, so you have a what you call a caption box. So you say meanwhile, or earlier in the day, or later, or whatever. You just put a few caption boxes to explain what it is, which is a common thing. But here obviously there's nothing, there's absolutely no text whatsoever. So it's quite complicated to explain that time has passed. For
Right.
example, there are these two people in a relationship, and at one point we jump like maybe 2 3 years into the future. So how do you show that?
How do you show
Uh,
that?
yeah, so in a text you'll just say 2 years later or something, right? It's very
Right.
simple.
Right.
It's not a big problem, or it's not a big deal. But this is quite tricky. So at the same time, you want to create the. It's not, as I said, it's not a bunch of illustrations. It's like a comic, so that has to have a sequential narration. I mean, each panel has to link. It's like a has to link to the next panel, to the next panel, and so on. So it's quite complex that way. So I write it like any other comic. So I just write panel one. Normally, what you do is you say panel one visual. You write the visual thing, then you write the text, caption, dialogue, whatever. Here I don't have any text, but I still write the visual. So I do a lot of visual design, how it looks. Obviously, the artist does a lot of it, but I also take part in that, and I also have a kind of an order in which, so the story has like maybe like three acts, you can say. So how it is going to be, put together. So how do we do these jumps in time, and so on and so forth. So that way you write it like any other comic. So it has to basically, then the iron test is when you show some sequences which we do to people, and they don't have, there's no text, right? And we ask them, does this make sense? What do you think happened? So we keep doing that just to test, so that it's the meaning, what we want is being conveyed basically.
Great. We look forward to the next projects that are in store, and of course, it looks quite interesting and a lot of experimentation, as you said. So, like coming out of this, and as you said, the Indian audience is still niche, or rather, it's very niche till now. So, do you think that going further for those artists or for writers, or to pursue graphic novels as a serious business, some kind of a formal training should be included, or even journalism or mass comm, or something in literature? Do you think some formal trainings, or we need to have some courses so that these budding writers or artists, they are actually they can look forward to this also as maybe a career option, or a choice that they can make?
Well, I mean, I haven't got any formal trainings, and I'm doing okay. So I
Exactly.
think
So
I
because
don't want to
most of the
say
things
that
are
we need
self
formal
learned,
training.
so do you think it has to be structured
Well, I
as a
mean,
curriculum?
well, basically, there's something right now, this field of graphic journalism, for example, where BBC has been doing a lot of work, and there have been other very large media conglomerates doing, where they try to, because people's attention span has dropped and so on.
Right.
So that idea is that in very simple comics or illustrations, you convey some story. Like they did a lot of work recently on the whole COVID thing. How do you convey COVID or
Hmm.
what is happening in maybe 10 panels or something, like a very simple comics. So a lot of work has been going on. So yes, if you're doing something like that, it makes sense to do a course. I don't think you need to do a full length program, but
Okay.
basically, there can be a small workshop or a course where
Hmm.
you understand. This is for people who have no exposure to comics before. So how to read a comic is also a certain skill, in the sense that if you are reading comics from a kid, as a kid, you develop that internally, effortlessly. You know how to do it.
Right. Right.
But if you're an adult and you're picking up comics for the first time, or any
First
graphic
time. Hmm.
narration, then yes, you may have to have, there'll be a little bit of a learning curve. But again, nothing too serious. But yeah, if you're going to create them, for sure you need at least a
Formal.
workshop. Yeah, some
Yeah, a
workshop, something,
workshop. Right.
just to start, get on with it, basically.
Right, right. Because it is a skilled. It needs a lot of skills and knowing in and out, because it's a synergy, as you said, between art and text.
Yeah, and you also need to have people skills and so on, because you're working with a team.
Hmm.
So there's the artist, there's the colorist, there's the penciler, there's the inker, there's the
Oh,
letterist.
okay.
So there are about 5 to 7 people
In the
at any given time. So you have to convey all of that to people, make sure that the project is moving forward.
Hmm.
And so yeah, there are people skills involved as well. It's not just the technical skills, but how to manage
Right.
projects. So yeah, so there's a lot of
Right,
work.
right.
Mm.
Oh, this is quite some learning, and but it's interesting, as you said. Like, if you have the passion,
Mm.
if you have the innate, the will to do it, you'll find a way. So, someone who is new to the genre, what would be your favorite picks for them? Can you just name two, three
Sorry, name
heroes?
2, 3 comics.
The favorite picks for them, like someone who wants to start, as you said, like maybe want to explore this genre or want to start reading comic. So what would be the favorite picks? What should they start with?
Well, in terms, I think definitely Tintin.
Yes,
That's
that's
also easy to get as well. So Tintin, Asterix, I think, at least in terms of European comics, you have to start there. I would also, for superheroes, I would pick Phantom, which again has a strong India connect, because originally Phantom was meant to be set in India actually, but then it was shifted to Africa. And Phantom is something which all of us have read because of Indrajal comics and so on. So, and that's also, Phantom is one of the first superheroes, and he kind of set the tone for everything that followed. Like Batman was very influenced by the way Phantom looked and so on. And so yeah, so definitely Phantom, definitely Tintin, maybe some Commando comics, which are also very popular in India at one point. These war small size
Mhm.
format, where you had these war comics, which is a different kind of a genre, completely different genre altogether. And in terms of individual titles, um, I would say, okay, there's of course Mouse by Art Spiegelman, which everybody talks about. There's also um, let me think. Oh yeah, and you have Persepolis by Marianne Satrapi. Definitely, that's one of the last 10, 15 years. That's one of the most influential graphic novels. So yeah, so I think between those, there's also an Indian graphic novel, Sudarshan Chimpanzee, set in Bombay. Very nice, very interesting art and very interesting storytelling. So I would say those are my picks.
Thank you so much for that
Mhm.
list. So I think we're running out of time, but a quick advice that you want to give someone who wants to really explore this and write for this, like either a career option or at least they want to try their hands on writing for this. What would be your quick advice to them?
Well, I mean, the most important thing is to read and read as widely as possible. So you should be very well read in comics as much as you can. You should be very well read in, in that genre or in general. Like, for example, if I say science fiction, you should read all the foundational works of that field, definitely. And you should also, as I said, keep an idea notebook where you store all the ideas down. And if you're working particularly in comics, basically in any field where the text and image interacts, it could be advertisements, it could be film, it could be you try to see where in the story the art is pushing the story forward and where in the story the text is pushing the story forward. So there's sort of a tension between the art and the text. So you try to be aware of that, and you try to use those tools in your storytelling, basically.
Thank you so much. So what we conclude is read a lot. Keep your bucket of ideas ready wherever you go, because you don't know when they would be handy. And of course, explore in the genre that you want to work. Explore, and maybe you can start small and then have guidance. You can attend workshops, and then you are set to either explore and read a lot. Thank you so much for sharing all the insights and ideas, Jay, and making time here. It was really interesting to know the entire process of making a graphic novel, and it was interesting to hear your personal experiences as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.